Satim Vyasam Tato Jayo Dhiryat Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Tamashoki Bhaktir Bhavadi Naistaki Nikamakupadul Garidam Param Shukamakara
Nityam
Dhabhisamidam Pibata Bhagatam Rasham Mariam Mahora Hora Sikububi Vakaham Krishna Sadam Bhagate Dhamagina Karona Shamasha Paranako Dunoditaham Anartha Pashamam Shakshad Bhakti Yogam Logasha Dinataro Chakra Satpada Samitam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinu Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Jayatam Sarito Pango Mama Manir Matergati Matsavasha Padam Boja Radhana Madana Mohanam. Sriman Rasa Rasaram Bhivam Sivada Karsan Vinashirukara Gopinata Sriyasanam Divyad Vrindana Kapadrumada Srimad Ratnagada Shima Shanishto Shri Shri Radha Shila Govinda Prastatabi Seva Manushmarami Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Taya Jajikaritaya Krishnaya Gopindaya Namo Namam Mangalam Magavan Vishu Mangalam Gudirajitam Mangalam Panadikaksham Mangalayatanahi Om Narayanaya Vidmahi Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tano Vishnu Prachodhyate Om Mahadevi Cha Vidmahi Vishnu Patni Cha Dhimahi Tano Lakshmi Prachodhyate Mahalakshmi Namastubhyam Namastubhyam Sare Sare Hari Pre Namastubhyam Namastubhyam Dhyadire Tapti Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vishavanasute Devi Pranamani Hari Pre Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutare Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deva Gurupani Pachani Navishesa Nirvada Krishna Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Siri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. Rob over here on Zoom, Brent, Namamrita so far. We've talked yesterday about how even if you have balloon-like desires, like the immature child, just got to have that balloon. Balloon is inconsequential. It's a nonsense thing. It has no substance. It has no duration. It has no value. And yet children will bang their head against the wall. They'll scream. They'll yell. They'll go on strike if they've got to have a balloon. But we don't fault the child for that. What we notice in all of this, what the lesson is, even when the child is rolling on the floor and screaming, totally uncooperative with the father, appearing to rebel, to be in a state of full-fledged rebellion against the father, one thing you might want to notice is that in spite of all that, the child is never going to ask anybody else for the balloon. Child's not going to go to the manager of the grocery store, not go to customer service where the balloons are all filled with helium, very enticingly up on the ceiling there. Not going to go to the neighbor, not going to go down the street, not going to go to his teacher, not going to go to his coach. Even though the child looks like they're totally disrespectful and in full rebellion against the parent, it's very instructional to note that the child is only going to the parent for that balloon. And if the parent refuses it, it's not like the child says, okay, I tried you, now I'll try this person, I'll try this person, I'll try this person. It's in fact because the child sees the parent as the only source of their provision. That's why they get frustrated. That's why they get so angry, because they know that whatever happens, they're not going to prostitute themselves and go to anybody else for the satisfaction of their desires. They know that my dad is all in all. There is, for me, nobody else. So in fact, the tantrum that he's throwing, you could see it as a manifestation of love. If he didn't throw the tantrum, he would just be saying, okay, you won't give me the balloon. I'll try this stranger. I'll go to someone on a street corner and ask them for the balloon. Child doesn't do that. The child, no matter whether its desires are worthy desires, desires fitting for a spiritually mature person, or whether the desires are immature, whether the desires are balloon-like, temporary, invaluable, unsubstantial. What's important to notice is that the child depends 100% on the Father, one way or another. Shlisha va pararam pinashna mamadarshana mamada yata tata va bidata mat pranadash tushnayeva naparaho. Lord, though you restrain me, love me in your embrace, make me brokenhearted by not being present. You are always my master unconditionally. Decline or gain, rain or shine, I am yours and you are mine. Decline or gain, rain or shine, I am yours and mine. Devotee may not be perfect. Devotee may be spiritually immature. We have ample instances of spiritually immature devotees asking for material things and yet at the same time getting the complete mercy of the Lord. And in the process of worshiping the Lord for these nonsensical, insubstantial material benefits, getting purified themselves up to the highest degree. You can write in the comment section the names of anybody that comes to mind. Druvamar, Shramin Kitarto Shmi Baram Na Yache, Stan Balasi Tapashi Shitam, Tam Praptavam Devam and Kachambi Chinbam Apidivya, Shramin Kitarto Baram Yache. When the Lord finally appeared before Dhruva to fulfill his desire of a kingdom greater than his grandfather's, Dhruva had already, during the 6 months that he'd been worshiping the Lord, he had already purified himself of that desire. He no longer had the desire for a kingdom in this material world. So much so he felt that by the time Krishna appeared, he said to Krishna, I am ashamed that I asked something material from you. That was then, this is now. I was asking for broken pieces of glass, but now that you've appeared before me, you bless me with your darshan. I have got instead a very valuable jewel. Nonetheless, the Lord went ahead and almost forced Dhruva to take a kingdom greater than his grandfather. He blessed him with long life. He gave him his own planet, a spiritual planet within the material world. And at the end, he said, you'll go back home. I will send the Vaikuntha Basis. I will send my servants from Vaikuntha to bring you and your mother back home, back to Godhead in due course of time. Dhruva was akama. He was shot through and through and through and through with material desires. It says that when his stepmother prohibited him from getting up on the lap of his father, but his father did not defend him. His father did not speak up on Dhruva's behalf, and that's what really hurt him. He could expect as much from his stepmother, but he was shocked and appalled to see that his father was in his stepmother's pocket, that is to say, that his father was completely henpecked husband, under the influence of his second, younger, better-looking wife. When Dhruva saw that, he did not take it well. You know, we talk a lot about how devotees are peaceful and full of equanimity, calm in the crisis. That wasn't Dhruva. He was not at a stage of mature yogic perfection. He was a 5-year-old boy. He had the passionate blood of a warrior in him. He was his father's son. And when he saw this slight from his own father, he was described to be like, he was likened to a snake, which has just been stepped on. Snakes are fairly docile. I remember we bought some property when I was president in San Francisco. We bought a 150-acre farm in Mendocino County. It was a beautiful spot, beautiful mountain ridge, 3 lakes, houses, almost like the word Shangri-La comes to mind. But there were quite a few rattlesnakes in that area. And I heard then that usually when there are 3 people walking in the woods, it's the third person that gets bitten. The first person, the rattlesnake's in kind of a stupor, especially during the day. I guess they do a lot of their hunting at night. So they just kind of lay around in a stupor during the day. So if there are 3 people hiking, the first person will step on the rattlesnake or disturb the rattlesnake. And the rattlesnake is just trying to bring himself up out of a deep level of unconsciousness. And while he's doing that, the second person walks by And then by the time the third person comes to where they're at, then he bites him. So it takes a while. It takes something, it takes a bit of a lag, a bit of a lull there. But when the rattlesnakes really got his dander up, he's quite vicious. And he'll bite anybody. He's hopping mad, hopping mad. He's looking for somebody to bite. It's not even the person that offended him, but he's just looking for someone to bite. So Dhruva Maharaj was likened to a snake who's been stepped on. He was fit to be tied. His body was shot through and through with adrenaline. He was on a chemical high, but what could he do? 5-year-old boy can't physically go up against his king or the stepmother, the servants, the bodyguard. And so he goes to his mother, the only thing he can do. And she tells him something very interesting, that if you want to get justice, if you want to redress the situation, only God can do it. I can't. I'm out of favor. I don't have any influence with your father. You certainly, obviously, you've seen how little influence you have. Your father won't even let you go on his lap. So many saints and sages, they go to the forest, they go to find God, and they come back occasionally. We see them occasionally, and they say they found God in the forest. So go there and search out God. Now, in the course of his journey, his odyssey, which started out with a material motive to get a kingdom, he ended up a pure devotee and turning his nose up, being ashamed at the material desires that he had and for which he approached the Lord. Gajendra's in the same boat. It's been thousands of years since he's even given the Lord a thought, since he's even acknowledged the Lord. What to speak of performing devotional service, chanting, hearing, taking prasadam, associating with devotees, going to the temple. It's been eons since Gajendra has performed any of these. He's in a state of total forgetfulness of the Lord. And the Lord sends the crocodile as a special mercy of the Lord to put Gajendra into a different state of consciousness, a more urgent, a heightened state of consciousness that comes about when your life's in danger. And in the end, Jivashashe Naham Ihayusha Kim. Jivashashe Naham. From fighting for his life, from being terrified at being pulled out from the circle of his fellow elephants, pulled out from the heavenly atmosphere of Trikuta Mountain, pulled out from his wives, and pulled out from his cute little elephant children. Some or other, I stumbled a few weeks ago on an elephant channel on Instagram. And Instagram, Facebook, they determine what your interests are. And so they send more of the same. So I started getting all these little videos, these reels of baby elephants. And of course, you can't not look at a baby elephant. There's nothing cuter in the world. There's nothing more innocent, nothing more sweet, nothing more loving than a baby elephant. It's unconscionable to think that people go out and kill these magnificent animals for their tusks or their hides. There's just no word to describe the disgust. The innocence of these towards human beings, the love that they spontaneously feel, what betrayal any animal feel. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. We won't go there. Anyway, a day hardly ever goes by that I don't get 2 or 3 reels of these lovable, heart-resting little baby elephants. And Gajendra does not want to be killed. He wants to enjoy the antics of his sons and grandsons. He wants to rub up against them. He wants them to come and lean against him and go asleep against his side while they're trusting him. He wants all that. He doesn't want to miss the growing up of his children. He doesn't want to miss the affection of his wife. He doesn't want to be apart from the beautiful, intoxicating fragrance and sights and sounds that are there on the heavenly planets of Trikuta Mountain. But after remembering his devotional services of previous life as Indradumna, he starts offering these prayers. Jijivashe Naham Iham Yusha Kim. Jijivashe Aham Iham Yusha Kim. He says, towards the end of this pastime, I do not actually want any longer to stay in this heavenly, intoxicating, illusory environment, nor with my wives or children. My consciousness now has returned to your lotus feet. And I realize that whatever attraction I feel for family, friends, wife, country, and influence, it originates in you. It originates in you. Having reawakened, uncovered my former desire to become a 100% pure devotee, I realize that everything exists within you. There is nothing apart from you. Why should I try to enjoy you in terms of your separated, fragmented, illusory, inferior energies when I can connect directly with you? And you yourself are active. You yourself are petitioning. You yourself are canvassing in human society and animal society. Please come back home, back to Godhead. Tesham evanu kamparta mahama garam nishyami yana deep in a. You're in the heart of every living entity. And as soon as that living being allows you, your light will shine like a million suns from the heart of every living entity and illuminate every dark nook and cranny. So why should I look for satisfaction, for bliss, for meaningful fulfillment towards any of your fragmental parts and parcels when you yourself are on bended knee begging me to chant your holy names and surrender? So Gajendra was out of touch for a while. We've established that. But when he gets back in touch, man, it's like it all comes flooding back. It's like a waterfall. It's like Niagara Falls. It comes back so abundantly and so powerfully. The log jam is broken, the blockage is removed, and now there's a Triamenanyavisha Matir Madhus and a Ratra movement. Now you just try to keep Gajendra from Krishna. You know, he had a little detour, he had a little fall down, but that's now behind him. And I think it's safe to say that Gajendra is never again going to falter. He's never again going to stumble, that he's in it to win it now. There's no turning back. There's no detouring. Jivashashi naham iha musha kim. I don't want, what do you say, antir bahis, antir bahis. Gajendra is saying, there is no satisfaction in this physical world nor in the noumenal world. Neither in the physical world nor in the psychic world is there any permanent satisfaction. Only place that satisfaction can be achieved is if one takes shelter as an atom in service at the lotus feet of the Lord. And Gajendra says, this is what I want. This is what I want. I want that blessing. I want that position which time cannot destroy. Na yasha viplavo. I want that thing which cannot be destroyed by time. And it's ignorance, because both Krishna consciousness and ignorance could be viewed as neither one being destroyed by time. The awakening of one's Krishna consciousness once and for all by Gajendra is going to put him beyond time and space, beyond the past, present, and future, which brings hankering, limitation, loss, and gain. He's gone beyond duality now for the last time, never again to relapse. And that level of consciousness cannot be destroyed by time. Narada Muni says, Matir Maya Nivaryam Navi Pradyasha Shmita Chamada Nugravi. Narada Muni in his previous life had become a pure devotee. There was a cosmic annihilation. He was reborn after millions of years in the next creation as Narada Muni. He'd been the son of a maidservant in his past creation. He'd become Krishna conscious in that lifetime. And then when he was reborn, literally millions of years later, he hit the ground running as Narada Muni. So that Krishna consciousness, once it reaches fullness, once it produces the fruit of love of God, can never be counteracted. It can never be reversed. It can never be undone. Therefore, it can be said of mature bhakti that time can never destroy it. That can also be said of ignorance too. Just think of all the time that passed in which Gajendra had been totally forgetful of the Lord, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And that would have continued on. If it was up to Gajendra, he would have continued on in that elephant's life. And because he was attached in that lifetime to family, friends, and kids, when he would have left that elephant's body in due course of time, he would have again appeared in another family, because that was his mentality, his mindset was family oriented. So he would be transferred from one family to another, just like pocket chains. Pocket chains goes from one pocket to another pocket, to another pocket, to a cash register, to a donation box, to another pocket, to a bank vault, to here and there. The soul in forgetfulness of Krishna can literally rotate, can go from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, from species to species to species, from planet to planet to planet. That can, at least theoretically, go on forever. Time itself does not destroy ignorance. We say of someone they're eternally liberated or they're eternally conditioned. We just described the eternally liberated person as one who has fully developed their Krishna consciousness beyond time and space. Time will never destroy their Krishna consciousness, even millions and millions of years, even a cosmic annihilation. But time, it's in and of itself, will never destroy ignorance either. If you don't want, if you don't question, if there is not in one's heart at least the glimmer of inquiry, why am I suffering? What is the purpose of life? What is my duty? If that inquiry does not appear in some shape or form or other, then your conditional life literally can go on forever. Time will do nothing to destroy your ignorance. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagavana Jiva Guru Krishna Pashadipai. Many living beings in this material world, including ourselves, have been here for uncountable years. So what is it about the length of our sojourn that brings about our liberation? Nothing. Nothing. Something has to arise within the heart, a discontent, an unrest, a yearning. And in response to that call of help, it might not be articulated. We might not know who it is or what it is we're calling for. Just like a baby, shortly after birth, the baby calls for something. The baby's hankering for something. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know what its name is. He doesn't know whether it's liquid or solid. He doesn't know the color of it. He doesn't know the taste of it. But he knows that he's hankering after something with all of his being. And then finally, when the mother sticks her teat in his mouth and he gets the mother's milk, rich milk full of immune-causing colostrum, he says, then he puts a color to it. Now he puts a taste to it. I don't know if he puts a name to it, but this is what I want. This is what I want. So unless there's that heartfeltedness, that desire to solve the problems of birth, death, disease, and old age, one's ignorance, one's transmigration to the various species of life and the various planets can go on forever. One can be seen as an eternally conditioned living being. And even then, when inquiry, when unrest, when dissatisfaction arises within the heart, that in itself is not enough to conquer ignorance. What conquers ignorance is the Lord intervening in response to his devotees' desperate cry of affection. That without the intervention of the Lord or the Lord's pure devotees, we are beyond the power of time to redeem us. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing time in and of itself can do. There's nothing any amount of permutations and combinations, arrangements of material nature can do to awaken or to deliver to us the process of devotional service, only through the Lord and his pure devotees. Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Vadayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gorta. Lord Chaitanya is described as the most merciful of all the incarnations of Krishna because he's not setting any requirements. He's not saying that you have to be qualified in this area in yoga or tapasya or philosophical study. He's not saying that you have to be high-born. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yesham tu antigatam papam. Those who have been pious throughout multiple previous lives and who are already free of duality, they are those who worship me with all their hearts. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throws all that out of the window. He realizes that's far beyond the reach of anybody in this Kali Yuga age. He says, what are the qualifications for taking love of God, for reawakening your connection with Krishna consciousness? What are your qualifications for overcoming the effect of time and its forms of past, present, and future? Simply take it, what is being freely given without any conditions. Take it. Take it. That's the only qualification in this day and age. Take it. And once one intersects with a spiritual master, then one's resurrection begins. At that point, due to the external, internal from within, and external from without, a Brahmanda Brahmite Caru Krishna Pashade Si Bhakti says that when one inquires sincerely, when one puts one's call out there, who am I? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Then the Lord responds externally by causing that supplicant to meet a bona fide spiritual master. And from then on, one is said to be truly eternally liberated. One is on the eternally liberated platform. As I explained yesterday, anybody who's under the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, following the regular principles, chanting consistent rounds, is already eternally liberated. One can cease and desist from those practices and fall down. One can fall off the wagon and again become conditioned. Prabhupada said again, the difference between me and you is that I cannot fall down, you can. But even if, for argument's sake, one does fall down, due to unfortunate circumstances or lack of determination, one retreats from the devotional path, inevitably, no one gives up Krishna consciousness. They may, due to weakness or a temporary fall down, cease practicing, but they do not reject, they do not repudiate Krishna as the ultimate goal of life. And sooner or later, having had that taste, they return to devotional service. Question is asked, who, having once tasted the honey of serving the lotus feet of the Lord, can ever forget that? And even if one goes away for some time, as Gajendra did, one will come back as Gajendra did, because one never forgets deep in one's heart. One never really ever forgets the taste of devotional service, the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord. Now, those who are eternally conditioned and determined to remain so, devotee may be one who's, due to ignorance, performing sinful activities. But when he gets the good information from the right source, he changes. He gives up his bad habits. Devotee is defined not necessarily initially as one who's free from all sinful activities, but one who, upon getting the right information from the right source, gives up those sinful activities. And then he's on a path, the end of which is that he sees Krishna everywhere. He sees Krishna everywhere. We had some students for the Sunday feast from Brigham Young University. We were talking. And, I had been in the doctor's office, I think Thursday or Wednesday last week. the doctor during the checkup, he put the stethoscope up to my carotid artery, and he thought he heard a whooshing. He thought he heard an unnatural whooshing, which would mean there's plaque buildup, and it's obstructing the flow of blood to the head. Of course, that could be serious, could end up in a stroke or something even worse. So he sent me to the doctor for a what do they call it? What do they call it? With it sound? What do they call it? I'm looking in the sonograph. I forget. They look at it through sound. What is that called? You guys know. Who's got the answer there? A sonograph, sonogram. I forget. I should know that. Oh, so anyway, I'm sitting waiting for them to take me into the place, and there was a Van Gogh on the wall there. It's the one with the cathedral and the swirly stars. I didn't know what the title was. In fact, I don't think I know the title of any Van Gogh painting. But I immediately recognized Van Gogh. I know this is a Van Gogh. I don't know what the title of it is. I don't know what it's been, described as, what the moniker is. But I'll just look at it, and I won't describe it specifically in terms of its title. As it turns out, the student who was sitting at the table said, "Starry Night, les étoiles de nuit." I said, "Okay, yeah, I think that must be the title." But I didn't know it at the time. But I'm sitting there in the doctor's office, and there's all these magazines and everything, and I'm looking up on the wall, and there's that painting, and I think, Van Gogh. So pure Krishna, kind of like that. You don't see you don't see the world in terms of its segregated, fragmented phenomenon, but you see everywhere there's Krishna. It's like you don't know the title of the painting, but you say Van Gogh, Cezanne, Rembrandt, Da Vinci. It's kind of like that. Wherever a devotee looks, whatever he hears or sets his eyesight upon, or tastes or smells or touches, he doesn't identify it so much in terms of its specifics, but he's thinking, this is Krishna and this is Krishna's. Whereas those who are non-devotees, the eternally conditioned souls, they can't see Krishna even in the deity form. Eternally conditioned soul, a soul is absolutely resolved that material world is everything, material world is all in all, and let's just go for it. Doesn't matter, lie, cheat, steal, exploit, destroy the ecology, destroy the climate, destroy the future for upcoming generations. There's just that dogged determination that we will continue to exploit, we will continue to rape Mother Earth and exploit and take advantage of other living beings. We will eat the flesh of innocent, childlike animals. We will kill elephants for their ivory. It goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Such eternally conditioned souls, people whose ignorance will remain unaffected by time because of their commitment to ignorance. They're devotees of ignorance. They will come into the temple. They will see the beautiful form of Krishna, playing his flute, smiling face, peacock, yam shaimashandanam achinta gunushanam, the beautiful threefold bending form of Krishna with lotus eyes, the flute to his lips, the peacock feather, yanmukashu, yanmukhi. Mukeshu lokarti harashmitaram patadanam kundanam enam sanataram bimbhavarasha patataram shanashu. So that look of Krishna is the goal of all yogis, of all ascetics, of all pious people. The end of their journey is to stand in front of Krishna, to see Krishna in his threefold bending form, which is more attractive than millions and millions of Cupid, that form which millions, not just one or two, but millions of goddesses of Lakshmi cannot leave him even for a moment. Men worship Lakshmi, one Lakshmi. And if they get even a small moment of her favor, if they get 2 seconds of her attention, they're fabulously wealthy. They're Carnegies, Rockefellers, Mellons, Birlas. If they get 2 seconds of the attention of one Lakshmi, and here that beautiful form of Krishna is so attractive that millions and millions of Lakshmis cannot leave Krishna's side, even for a moment. And when devotees come into the presence of that smiling face of Krishna, it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate goal of sacrifices, penances, and austerities, yoga, study of scripture. It's the end of our sojourn in this material world. It's a vision, it's a hankering, it's a state of mind that can no longer be affected by time, place, and circumstances, past, present, and future. And devotees see Krishna not just in the deity, but they see him everywhere. Every place they go, everything they see, everything they taste, they see Krishna, 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 Krishna only. They see Krishna's hand. Sokha, harsha, bhayadveshta, loba, maya, samnanvita. Gritam yavaram, pasham, pashara, param, pasham, pasham. Pasham means they see Krishna everywhere. Even someone comes to kill him, such as Durvasa came to kill Ambarish, or as the crocodile came to kill Gajendra. The pure devotee's vision is that Krishna has sent this crocodile. Krishna has sent Hiranyakashipu to waken me up, to make me, to intensify my grasp on the lotus feet, the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. This is directly Krishna intervening in my life to take me to that place beyond time, take me to that place, that state of consciousness which time cannot affect at all. Now, those who are eternally conditioned, they can't see Krishna even in the Krishna deity in the temple. What to speak of seeing Krishna in the circumstances of their lives. Whereas devotees not only see Krishna in the temple, but they also see Krishna everywhere. And they see Krishna even in the heart of the demons. Even in the hearts of the demons, they see Krishna. It is said by Durvasa, after he tried to kill Ambarish, and he went to Shiva, he went to Brahma, he went to Vishnu, and finally Vishnu said to Ambarish, he said, the Lord warned that if you scorn my devotees, even God himself cannot free you. Devotees are in my heart and I am theirs. At no time will we ever apart, though I'm the Lord of all creatures. I seek the dust from my devotees. Only if you appease Ambarish will I be inclined to relieve the chakra from your behind. Then it says, Ambarish, after running for a year, came full circle when he screeched to a halt at the feet of Ambarish. The king had been performing a vigil, blaming himself for the missile that had sizzled the sage. Ambarish greeted the return of the sage with concern. He was so humble that he blamed himself for all the trouble. Exactly at that point, the chakra backed off from tracking the sage. Being relieved to be free from the heat, the sage beseeched the king to ask for some boon. The king said, I assume, with all your zooming around, you never got your lunch. Please sit down and let me serve you a brunch. The sage was amazed at the grace of the king. Though I tried to deprive him of life, he made no defense, he took no offense, and he wants to be my friend. Devotees of Krishna are non-envious, the most contented, and the well-wishers, even of their enemies. Though I'm the greatest of yogi and sages, today I've been defeated and completed by the sweetness of a devotee. So even in that fiery demon, which Durvasa sent to kill the king, even in that demon, Ambarish saw the hand of Krishna. And demons, even in front of the deity of Krishna in the temple, they cannot see Krishna. Arche Vishnu Siddhir Gurushu Nara Matir Vaishnava Jatubari. That's why it's described. Those have hellish intelligence. Those have demoniac intelligence who, what to speak of not seeing Krishna in the circumstances of their lives, not seeing the hand of God anywhere present. They can't even see Krishna in Krishna's own deity form. That means they'll never see Krishna's hand, even then they come into the temple. They'll doubt his presence. Whereas devotees see Krishna always and everywhere present. So when the crocodile came and threatened Gajendra's life, threatened to take away everything that he considered valuable within the framework of time, within the prison house of time, then what happened was he remembered that in his past life, he was just so close. He was on the cusp. He was at the edge of a total breakthrough of mind and consciousness, having advanced, having evolved, being about to give birth to a whole new state of consciousness, Krishna consciousness, which cannot be affected by time, cannot be taken away by time. He reverted back, he clicked back into that consciousness of his previous life. And as such, even while the crocodile was mutilating his own leg, he floated beyond that. He floated to a place of shelter. He picked a lotus flower from the lake. He offered it to the Lord. And by this time, he doesn't care about the crocodile. He knows that the crocodile is sent by Krishna as a special emissary of mercy. And he doesn't waste any more time in fighting the crocodiles, the naysayers, the critics, the enemies, the betrayers. He has no more time to waste in those useless endeavors. He's taking the high road now, and now it's just between him and Krishna. There's no crocodile, there's no female elephants, there's no baby elephants, no heavenly planet. There's no discernment of the different fragmented elements of the material world. They're only names. They're names: heavenly planet, Trakuta Lake, baby elephants, female elephants, a king of the elephants. These are just names, babbling. They're like foam on the sea waves. He'll never again be trapped into illusion by the world of names, even with the excruciating pain. It's not that Gajendra is not feeling pain. He's feeling pain, and the pain must be immense. And yet, it's not that he's not feeling the pain, but that he's feeling something much greater. He's feeling the shelter of the boat of Krishna's lotus feet. It's not that the pain has gone away, but the pain is a catalyst now. The pain is like the love bites of a lover who makes marks, who makes wounds on the body of the lover, but whose bites the lover feels as pleasurable. So the pain is there, but the pain has now assumed meaning. It's assumed ultimate meaning. It's disregarded. It's disregarded, as are all the variegated phenomena of this material world. Gajendra's senses, seeing, touching, tasting, and smelling, are not being pulled anymore in 6 different directions. His senses are all now submerged. They're integrated. They're undifferentiated. They're prostrated for once and for all at the lotus feet of the Lord. And because he didn't have hands like we do, he's using his trunk to offer, to direct, to channel the full measure of his unlimited devotion to the Lord through offering the lotus flower and extending his trunk upwards to where Lord Krishna has now appeared on the horizon with Garuda. He is through that trunk, which is his hand, which is Hasti, the hand of the elephant. He's offering everything. Iha yasha hare dasha manasha nikirashra jivan mukta sauchate. He's offering his mind, he's offering his body, he's offering his words, he's offering his life air to the Lord. And thus, Gajendra has now finally, after a detour, after a hiatus, after a little stumble, after a fall down, he's now back on track, back to home, back to Godhead. Thank you. First to come on board was Brent this morning. Brent's always here. I know that Even if no one else is going to come, Brent will always be here. He's my rock. And Rob is a Zoom rock. Brent is a Facebook rock. And Namamrita, thank you so much for joining us. Namamrita is a joy. He and his wife, Bhakti Jivan, are such great association. They've been here 5 weeks or so, and Bhai Bobby and I are enjoying their company, not only as devotees, but as friends. Thank you, Namarita, for joining. Pranams. Bhai Bobby joined me the other day, about 53 years ago. How fortunate I am to have a lifelong partner like that. Lakshmi Nishinga Das, Haribol, Spirit Soul. Thank you for coming on frequently of recent times. We're honored and humbled by your jumping on board. And Britta, in case you don't know, is an absolutely brilliant poet, scholar. She has stunning insights into the nature of life, love, and loss. I have so much respect for Britta. And Alexander, I hope you're doing well, my man. Ramananda Roy, an occasional visitor. I'm glad to see you. Jai HB, Jai Haribol. GS Nupane, Neupana. Nupane. Carmen, welcome back from the East Coast. Tell us about it sometime. Write a comment. Give us a synopsis of your experience and what you learned there in Cambridge. Lesson learned. Lakshmi says, don't walk third on the trail. Brent has a little poetry here. Dhruva, like a snake, was ready to bite out of spite. He took flight to the forest in rage, where he took counsel from a sage, and through devotional service got the Lord's sight. Nice. Nice. Very, very, I don't know what the word is. I can't think of the word. It's nice, nice. Very punchy. Dhruva, like a snake, was ready to bite out of spite. He took flight to the forest in rage, or he took counsel from a sage, and through devotional service got the Lord's sight. Has a nice little cadence to it. Vincent Atea, watching live from Kenya, Africa. Good to have you aboard, Vincent. I can't even imagine what time it is over there. Sundari Priya, our stalwart for the Salt Lake City Temple. Haribo, Anjali, I'll be with you guys in Phoenix Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday morning for the Rath Yatra in Phoenix there. I'm excited. Indian Steel Park. Yes, Starry Night was the title of that painting. William Griffith from Los Angeles. Bhai Bobby says, no examples given of devotees that come from material benefit initially. Who other than Dhruva? Well, I think Ajamil was in a state of ignorance, and his devotional service from a previous life also got revived as a result of his experience with the Yamadutas. That's one other example. Ram Kishore, my old friend. Hare Krishna. Ramananda, I think I mentioned. Oh, Bhai Bobby says 54. I said partner for 53 years. Bhai Bobby says 54 years. Okay. Thank you all. Thanks. We've got one nice little poem out of Brent. Really good. And now we turn to Rob, who's been doing these sorts of poetic offerings for 3 to 4 years now, I believe, or all years now, Rob. It's yours. The microphone is yours.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think I've been listening for 3, but I've only been doing these for a couple years. So,
okay. All right.
Getting there, though. All right. Even with the material request, turning to God is still the best.
Yes, that's exactly our point.
Krishna is the cure for ignorance and the source of intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pure devotees on this earthly ball, big or small, see Krishna in it all.
Yes.
The pain will frame your spiritual gain.
I like that.
And even if you get off track, once you take to Krishna, you'll always come back.
Right. I think that those few, what, five, if there's themes and sub themes, I think you hit on every one of them there. Quite
Haribol.
Those five things are very comprehensive. They basically revisited each and every point we've made in the last 45 minutes. So guess what? You're paying attention. Okay, that's it. It's 22 minutes past the hour. This session has lasted for 40, no, more than that, 47 minutes, 48 minutes, 48 minutes of transcendental nectar, a river flowing from the spiritual world like the Ganges down through these three worlds, diverting itself through Spanish Fork, Utah, and then going out to Arizona, to New York, to Florida, or wherever you all may be. Thank you for joining us this week, and we'll look forward. I'll be coming back from Phoenix on Sunday night and should be with you Monday morning. I do have to say that we're getting closer to the Festival of Colors, and with the what I consider unreasonable requirements of the powers that be, we're getting a little more stressed out and hard pressed to find things like parking spots and enough security guards, and the drama increases, I won't complain about anybody, but just give you a heads up, things as we go down the home stretch here, I may not be able to be with you every single time, but at least next Monday, there's every chance that we'll be together, and I'll be able to give you a little bit of a rundown on the Phoenix Rath Yatra, which is taking place Saturday. Parade goes, I think, from 11 to 1, ends up in Indian Steel Park, and then there's a stage program from 1 to 4. So I'll give you a full report, hopefully next Monday. In the meantime, chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.